Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. How's everyone doing today? Good morning, Dean. Let me move this window around. Sorry about that. Good morning, Sterling. Actually, there's a fair amount going on. You're finding lots of stuff from Bassett. Good morning, John. Yeah. Wait, this Ethereum's going bonkers. Good morning, Royal Palms. Good morning, Patrick. Scott Bassett said there's wow. If Powell went from no cut to 50, that would be impressive. When we just had a 3.1, and they're going to say the data's all wrong. Well, you've been following the data. You know what? To make better data. But based off the trend of stuff, you just printed 3.1 core. And you criticize Japan. You're saying Japan's got to get its inflation under control at a 3.3%. We just printed 3.1. Okay. What else do we have? We have new Fed names. Yep. Good morning, Heinrich. Good morning, Jacob. What else do we have? Do you have in there that Bassett? I can't even say his name. Bassett said it's the Fed's too high by 150, 175 basis points. Oh boy! Even if you said inflation's only running 2%, you chop 175 basis points off this sucker. Woof, woof. Yeah. Okay, and yes, there are no earnings worth posting. I completely agree about that. Oh, what do we have today? Good morning, PMG. We have nothing going on. We had the mortgage stuff, mortgage rates dropping 6.67 with the drop in the 10-year. Also, applications are up. EIA numbers coming out for crude traders, and we got Goolsby and Bostic speaking, and we got Barkin already. So, tomorrow we have the PPI, but the market is shrugging off everything. It's sell vol, buy it all, especially the Russell. So, this morning, NVIDIA, what is that doing? There's a disruption in the force. NVIDIA is down 25 basis points. AMD up 2.72. Dirt cheap Palantir up 105 basis points. But it's literally sell it all, buy it all. Sell vol, buy it all. All sectors up. Fed watch 100%, nearly 100% for a 25 basis point cut. Fear and greed, solidly in greed mode, Schiller PE. I want to go through a couple of things. Yeah, we're at 38.80. Has anybody looked at some of these other price to sales? Record price to sale. People are paying all-time highs. I mean, this isn't exceeded below the prior, high from the sell-off. And here's where it was .com. All right? 3.25 price to sales. Price to book. Here was the .com, 505, 506. We're at 540 now. We're getting insane valuations across the board. I'm not saying it's got to stop. I'm saying know where long-term stops are. And going into September, October, especially with volatility and crushed, you might want to consider some extra volatility hedges. This was put out by David Rosenberg this morning. Debt balances and customer security margins accounts. Well, that's where it was back .com. This is where it was prior to the end of 07, 08 market route. This is where it was at the 2022 top before the big drop. This is where it is now. Again, let's leverage everything and buy it all. This does not have to stop again. But this is very concerning. All right? Let's just go and leverage more stuff to fuel the rally at all-time high valuations. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it has to. It's going to keep going, and it's going to keep getting fueled until it doesn't. But remember, the same thing happened, especially with the .com. People thought it's never going to end. I mean, what was the revaluation of this is hysterical. Standard Chartered, I don't even know who they are, but I did see this. Raised its 2025 year in Ethereum forecast to 7,500 versus 4,000. And what's this? 2028, 25,000 versus 70. When you get this, it's just like everybody's going all in. Go all in. I'm not saying everybody here should go all in. Good morning, Daniel. I haven't seen you in a few days. Oh, I saw that. Oh, it's 125 to 150. I'm sorry, I said 150 to 175. It's only 125 to 150. I thought it was 150 to 175. Good morning, David. Good morning, Ted. Good morning, OD Green. I do not speak French, even though I spent time. And when I was living in Switzerland, used to go to France. Jackson Hole is next week. So, all right. Yes, there's nothing today. There is nothing we're talking about. Cisco's that. It's got a soft spot in my heart. Cisco, the old .com darling. Let's see what Red Robin prints today after the close. We could go for a good burger, if you want to call it a good burger. Beef prices all-time highs. Oh, there you go. Here you go. Let's just start off. There's your VIX. I am really wondering, can the VIX get pushed back down to a 12 handle before everything potentially blows? Are we going to get so complacent? Can it get pushed down? Can it get pushed down? Let's just root. Let's root. I'll root. I want a 12 handle in the VIX. I want a VIX 12 handle. Oh my goodness. That would be fantastic for hedges. My goodness. No fear. All right, let's get to what's important. S&P. Again, remember, pullback weekly rotation zone, rotating up. Just based off this, keep everything in perspective. Your major breakout area, even on a pullback, back to 6150 does nothing to disrupt the technical patterns in this. Next cluster area. Next cluster. Yesterday's strong breakout above key resistance with remember I talked about the VIX, keeping an eye on the VIX yesterday with it dropping. And we just got shellacked yesterday in the VIX. Well, the VIX got shellacked. We didn't. That's what I was watching. And it's just the buy everything rally following through today. 6,500 is the next target, then 6,525. What am I keeping an eye on this morning? I'm keeping an eye on the 1 hour rotation zone on any pullbacks. Other than that, not much to talk about. At the top of the 1 hour rotation zone is coming in 64.80. Worst case, 64.85. Now, if something comes out of the blue and we slam with momentum, again, I'd be watching the top of the 4 hour rotation zone. Those are the only two things I'm watching. Would I be going short this market? No, not with Coco's money. Not going short this market with Coco's money at all. NASDAQ just keeps powering higher again. Is the double off the table? No, not technically yet. Not technically yet. We got to raise some levels. We got to raise some levels right now. All right. Where do we sit? 24.1, just above 24.100. 24.1, 12 to 24.129 is the next target. Cluster higher. Again, 1 hour rotation zone. Best case on a pullback, 24,000. A little deeper would be about 24, yeah, 24 then to 23,980. Good morning, Anissa. C, Rick, not we. C. Rick, yes, is breaking out the Spanish and French. So early here, so I hang out in the back. It's not early, Daniel. It's after 6 p.m. I mean 6 a.m. Okay, it's 6 a.m. I get my times wrong. Got to get up around 3 a.m. in the morning. But excessive speculation is, we have massive excessive speculation. So it will stop when it stops. And do I know what will stop it? No, I do not. If I could tell you what would stop this, I would. And we'd all be prepared. I leveraged debt financing my steak and toilet paper. It's the worst that can. What's the worst that could? Hey, buy now, pay later. You can buy your burrito and pay it in 4 interest-free installments. Don't miss a payment, though. Don't miss that burrito payment. And if you're a little more high-end, you go to that steakhouse. Can you do buy now, pay later like at Morton's Steakhouse? Do they have that option? Can I go Ruth Chris, Morton's Steakhouse? I'm picking some ones. People. Do either of them have a buy now, pay later for your steaks? That's what I want to know. Because if that happens, oh my goodness. Good morning, Jake. How are you? So, do not get me wrong. Can this go more insane? Yes, it can. Dow looks like it's going to close above and take out the rest of the targets off the table. I'm just pulling it off now. I'll put it back on if it doesn't close. But with this today, the next targets again, 44,850, 45,081. Russell blew through all major resistance yesterday because, again, we're going to slash rates. So we're going to all pile into small caps that don't make money. Next key target, by the way, on this breakout is 2334 to 2337. I can also put the targets. Remember, we have more targets back from the inverse head and shoulders. That's the next target area that I'm really watching because that was a very high key area. A very high key area. So, and we're coming into, just putting it in perspective, we're coming into a major, this was a major top back in 2021. We broke out briefly higher in the end of the year 21. We broke out briefly higher at the end of 24. And now we're approaching some of these key areas. So, that's where we sit right there. Again, that's the next target. On any pullback here, support now coming in. 2292. We already looked at the VIX. The DAX, I'm looking, if the DAX could get any break above 24.3, I'll keep an eye on it. It's got to really find that support. But that's, you know what, the DAX is not able to do anything in all this congestion. It's got to do a power move like the Russell did yesterday. If the DAX starts doing this, the bar like the Russell did through all this congestion yesterday, I will look at the DAX seriously. The yields dropping. Rotation zone could not get above the rotation zone, rotating back down. So I'm now going back to target of about 4.2. First key area, if you want the specifics, I'm looking at 4.242 on a closing basis, and then back at the 4.2 area for trading the micro yields. Crude, all right, we are at cycle bottoms, oversold. We have the EIA numbers today. Unless there's some major momentum that takes up the prior high, I'll be looking for crude to set up a bounce bottoming pattern only into another potential short. All right, but we are getting oversold. Again, weeklies can still have room to run down over the next week or so. So that's why this would be a bounce play only. And we are in this major area. I'm still watching for a more drop on the next rollover, though. So that would be, it was an aggressive bounce play only. If you're not nimble, I'd be looking for the next short setup. Gold, technically yesterday's high is a %B buy. We already rejected there once. I'm keeping an eye on this, though, over the next couple days, especially with gold, because of the dollar index. Now, the dollar index broke down earlier. I'm still watching for the close below the 62.5, if we close below the 62.5, then I will be looking for a retest of this low area. However, I'm keeping a very close eye on this. I should just put a trend line in there. I'm keeping a very close eye. We spiked below this trend line, and I'm going to watch where this closes today. Also, we are getting the cycle bottoms. Now, if we close below the 62.5, I'll be very patient on anything to the long side. But remember, the short trade in the dollar index is very lopsided. Yeah, cutting rates will fuel more speculation until it doesn't. I will stop when I am zapped at ground zero. What are you talking, Rick? Rick, I do not know what you're talking. Oh, it will stop when I am zapped at ground zero. It will stop, not you will stop. All right. My credit card lets me finance anything over 80 bucks. Well, then you could go buy the steak dinner and finance it. Daniel, maybe, you know what? Daniel lives pretty close to me. Maybe, Daniel, you know, we should go out to Vero Chicago Pizza. We'll finance that. We should go have a meal at Vero Chicago Pizza. He lives down the street from me. At 5% or something. I want buy now, pay later. The price action of SPX was an absolute melt up yesterday. Kept waiting for a signal to sell some 0 days. Call premium, but it never presented, so I sat on hands all day. Good strategy. What I generally do it with options. I'll look at, there's a bunch, you can look at a bunch of different option exchanges. You can look at the OEX also. So there's a bunch of ways. Maybe we'll look at that as we get closer to September. And I've told you the expirations I focus on. The 2020s are more like the 1920s and 1990s. Well, they were both bubbles. EWI, EWT trade has worked well. Korea and Taiwan have low PEs. Thank you for sharing that. All right, Euro. Yesterday closed above the 62.5. So the remainder of the targets on the potential double are off the table. We could be setting up for a potential sell setup in a couple days, but that's aggressive. That's an aggressive sell setup. Where else do we have? We have the spiders. See, rocketing through yesterday. Still the potential double, still on the table, so we have to technically leave it on there. Just above the next harmonic, we had 642.42. Next target area, we're going to open up just below 644.99 to 645.85. All right. So above there, if we have to go longer term, it's 651.84. In this, again, I'm keeping an eye on the 1 hour rotation zone on any bigger pullback, and surprisingly enough, the 15-minute rotation zone on any shallow pullbacks. The Qs hitting 580.37, 580.37, 580.35 was the target. We're gapping above this, so let's just go 581 on any pullbacks support. 587.38 is the next major target area. Other than that, the double on the open, the potential double in the Qs will be off the table on the open. Bitcoin trying now to break base back above 120. Keeping an eye on that. Here's your Ethereum. The next harmonic on Ethereum is 47.90. And that's a pretty major harmonic. That's the reverse harmonics from a low in April all the way to the highs in December. Okay. What else do we have here? USAR has an interesting looking chart. It's approaching the all-time high after jumping 23%. Haven't looked at this. Yeah, it is. Again, if it keeps going, how do we get the targets? Well, let's get the targets. If it keeps going, it is at highs, but 2181, 2361. Next target's higher, stair stepping higher. These kind of things, I look, if it's going to drop, I don't watch for a shallow retrace. I watch for a pretty, you can see the retracements are fairly substantial. Rick's holding is known as my every retrace to uptrend line on the Qs. Well, you do it until it doesn't work. And then I'd stop buying the dips if we get a bigger topping pattern. Good strategy, Rick. What else? We have AMD, which is up this morning. AMD, by the way, had the percent beat buy last week, last Wednesday, Thursday, now following through above a significant resistance area. So my next key target, once we get above 182.50, is 189.60. NVIDIA, surprisingly enough, not doing much right there. Spiking a little higher yesterday. Still has a potential upside of double now on the table. Probably will not trigger. Broadcom, you see yesterday went straight to the next harmonic. So the potential double is off the table in Broadcom. That's why I love these harmonics for targets. Doesn't mean you have to at least raise a stop when it hits a harmonic level. Okay, at least raise a stop. $317.50 is next target. Potential, hey MJ, how are you doing? Potential 4-hour double top in Apple. There is actually also a potential daily double top. Again, may never trigger. Something to keep an eye on. Here it is on the 4-hour, so it's valid on both time frames. You can trade it. It needs to follow through with a 4-hour close if that was going to trigger, but that is your potential double top. Other than that, what is the next target higher? I'm just looking. They're back. There's still technically a gap here. There's still technically a gap here, and it's above key support. There's still technically a gap here to this key close from Friday the 7th of March at 239.07. Apple approaching 35 times P to E ratio again. All right, I'll look forward to it. Thanks, Sterling. What else do we have? Not much to talk about. Besides, do not short this market. It's getting, I put out in, what was it, a couple weeks ago that we might get an earnings blow off top, and it looks like we are getting the earnings blow off top. So can this keep going? Yeah. Do I know it will stop it? No, I don't. But remember, record leverage debt, record multiples. Multiples can keep expanding, but we get the ubiquity principle of the sand, and the sand's getting piled and higher and higher, and we're not getting any disruptive patterns, which makes the instability even more. And we have just insane complacency. It could be, hey, Fragrance's World. You gotta tell me about the name. Is that? Should I check out the Fragrance's World YouTube channel? Are you all about fragrances? I don't know. I'm being serious. I do not know. I'm just wondering. Here's your Pi network. Pi network is really not doing anything at all. Trying to build a little higher base. I mean, you got the crypto thing going crazy again, but this is not doing much. If it can break, you have a little resistance shelf above about 41, 40 and a half, 41, but the target would be about 0.45 on any break. You don't have a strong bottoming pattern just yet. It is the waning momentum down here, and you are potentially setting up for some divergences. But this is not a long-term bottoming pattern yet. But if you're looking for a break higher, the first target would be 0.45. Netflix. Netflix had a %B buy last week that's following through, and a rotation zone buy on a weekly basis. So there you go. I think we put this out. We put this out on Slice last Friday. We put this out. %B buy following through. So there you go. Cycle's getting to the bottom, running back up. So that's a completely valid setup. Oh, AMC is mooning. Okay. What else? I think that's about it. I'll look for the article, Sterling. Until then, remember we have PPI tomorrow morning. We have Cisco after close, PPI tomorrow morning. Can anything stop the runaway market? Well, not yet. By the way, on Netflix, you do have a key gap left behind just above the 62.5. And you have a gap down reversal open, so you have a couple key targets in here just if you're trying to structure something. I saw your comment. Go. I saw your comment. All right. With that, I will talk to everyone tomorrow. Have a wonderful, wonderful trading day. Bye for now.